Hi, and welcome to the IAC's panel facilitator video. We're so grateful that you could be part of the panel process. This is a quick overview of the facilitator role to get you prepared for panel day. In addition to this video, you'll receive a few documents to help you prepare, including a script for the day and a detailed facilitator cheat sheet, which will include more in-depth details. That information will be provided for you by your grants manager liaison, either IAC staff or a regional arts partner. To give some context, the IAC has facilitators for all our grant panels, including those through our regional arts partners. The facilitator, in addition to the panelists who review the application, is the person that manages the panel discussion by moving the discussion along and guiding focus when needed. They do not evaluate or contribute to the discussion in any way, but are simply there to impartially ensure a fair, consistent process. Staff members work with these applicants all the time and have a lot of background knowledge, so it's best for these grant processes to have an impartial member leading the discussion. And with the help of the script, facilitators also help give structure to the process as we methodically review each application. We want you to know that these discussions are a vital part of the grants making process for the IAC. The grantees receive valuable feedback on the strengths of their applications and ways to improve their efforts. We know that applicants put a great deal of time and energy and care into these applications, so it's important to respect their efforts by giving each and every one of these applications a meaningful and thorough review. And finally, these conversations are important as a part of our transparent state agency process. Panel discussions are recorded and made part of our publicly accessible materials. As a facilitator, you have two main roles for the day: initiating and closing each discussion and guiding the conversation. So to start out each meeting officially, the facilitator will read from a script opening the public meeting and welcoming everyone. The script will also direct you to introduce the first application and then invite the first reader to share their review of the application. When it seems like the first reader has finished their comments, you will invite the second reader to add any new or opposing comments. And finally, when the second reader has completed their comments, you will invite anyone else on the panel to add any additional or opposing comments. It's perfectly okay for panelists to not agree. We're not looking for a consensus. The names of the applications and readers will be provided to you on the reader list. It will also include if a panelist has a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest is when a panelist has a business or partnership relationship with an applicant. Anyone with a conflict of interest is not allowed to review the application or participate in the discussion. In those instances, you will announce that so-and-so panelist has a conflict with ABC Arts Organization and has been moved to the Zoom waiting room for the duration of the discussion. You don't need to do the actual technical part of bringing them in and out of the waiting room, but you can be helpful by reminding staff to bring the panelists back into the meeting. In general, you'll be listening to the discussion to know when the conversation is winding down. When it feels like a full review has been given and the panelists have nothing else to add, you will close discussion by acknowledging that with no further comments, I'll ask panelists to finalize their scores. This signal denotes the end of one application review and the start of the next. You may want to ask for panelists to give you a verbal confirmation that they have finished scoring, so you can know when to move on to introducing the next application. And then we repeat that for as many applications as we have. It's also important for the facilitator to take on the role of guiding the conversation, and we want you to feel empowered as an important part of your role to respectfully intervene when necessary. Sometimes panelists may be so excited during the conversation that they begin to veer off topic or start to repeat themselves. In these instances, It's the role of the facilitator to step in and let people know to stay on topic. Something like, it's important that this discussion relates to the review criteria. If you could restate your comments so that they relate to the criteria, that would be great. Or if a person is maybe going a little too long with their comments and repeating what they have already said, you could interject, thank you for those thoughts. Are there any new or opposing comments that haven't already been shared? Or one of our favorites that we've seen work on many occasions is be that as it may. Sometimes facilitators like to give their panelists a heads up before the public meeting starts, that if they go down a rabbit hole, they'll say, be that as it may, which is a signal to move on. This works incredibly well. Now, every now and then, panelist comments can get overly negative to a point that's beyond constructive criticism. In that case, you should step in and say something like, I think we understand your thoughts. And as a reminder, please keep the feedback constructive and consider how you would like to hear this feedback if it was your application. Now, would anyone else like to share any new or different information? These moments don't happen a lot during the panels, but you'll know when it's needed. We want you to feel empowered that as facilitator, it's within your power to respectfully intervene as necessary. Another aspect of being a facilitator is that you're giving out a lot of cues in the meeting. Oftentimes, the panelists are nervous. For many, this is their first time participating in a grant panel, and they aren't quite sure when they should speak up or what they should say. We've given them a very thorough orientation, but with your script, you're really leading them through the panel process and guiding them to know when it's their turn. After the first few applications, everyone starts to settle in, and it should flow pretty easily. Also, as part of the script, you'll let the audience know that they are not to interact with the panel in any way. They are there in an observation role only. There are a few things that you won't be doing as a facilitator. Here's the most important one. You will not contribute to the discussion or review of the application. Please do not provide your opinion of the applicant or anything pertaining to the application. The panelists will handle that. They've read the application and know the criteria. They will be doing all the discussion related to the applications. Also, you don't need to memorize all the rules and guidelines of the program. You don't have to worry about any of that. Staff will be right there to handle any policy, technical, or logistics questions. You may want to be familiar with the basic overview of the grant and check out the review criteria so you have some context for the panelists' discussion and know when they're floating off topic. And you don't have to worry about controlling the technology. We have an IT person there for that. A last few thoughts. As we have moved all of our grant panels to Zoom this year, we're going to make sure to be generous with everyone as things take a little more time than usual. Maybe someone forgot to unmute themselves when they began their comments, or people take a little longer in the virtual setting to start engaging in conversation. Consider these things as you guide the conversation. Now, I bet you're wondering, what will happen if there's technical issues during the online panel? We will have a designated technical support person on the call to help you or the panelists. If you lose your internet connection, we recommend you dial in by phone instead. So keep the phone number nearby your computer for backup. If a panelist drops the call, it's your role as a facilitator to continue on with the discussion and move on to the next reader until the drop panelist is able to rejoin. And that's it. Thank you for being a part of this process. Your leadership in this role really makes these discussions successful. Thank you.